Welcome to the Harper Tech Academy and Harper Recipe Creations. Today we are making beautiful pinwheel sandwiches. This is something very different to what you'd normally do for a sandwich. They're actually rolled sandwiches, and we've got some beautiful ham and some asparagus and cream cheese, and it's so simple but it's very effective. As always, have a look in the comments below and you'll actually find a link to the recipe with all of the stages that you'll need to do this recipe. All right, so let's get going. So let's just have a look at a couple of our ingredients. So come down here, got some beautiful asparagus, all right, fresh, some cream cheese, a little bit of lemon. We've got our salt and pepper ready to go. I've got ham in the fridge, and then we'll put it together. So what we're going to do first of all is actually get our asparagus out. Now asparagus grows very quickly, hence why it's actually quite reasonable at the shops. But one of the things that you've got to consider is there's a woody end, which isn't very nice. So what you do when you snap it, it actually snaps, it shows you where that woody end is. And generally what I will do is get all of my asparagus, and what I'm going to do is line that up and then cut it all off at the same time. So we have a nice long length of asparagus. We'll just keep those offcuts. You can make a beautiful soup from there. Now the next stage of this, we have our pot, and I've actually got boiling water in there, and we are going to blanch and refresh them. So a pair of tongs. What I'm going to do is actually drop that into the water. All right, just looking over here. Now what I have here is some iced water. All right, so just some ice in there. I'm going to pour that in because when we cook our asparagus, we don't need it in there for very long. Now depending on the season and when you get it, you probably only need it in there for about 20 to 30 seconds before you need to refresh it. So we're plunging it into 100-degree water, and then we're putting it in a cold ice bath and stopping that cooking process. So if you have a look at the moment, it's not quite ready. All right, so I'm just going to take that probably another 20 seconds and then we'll get going with that. All right, so we're just going to drop that into our ice bath. And if you have a look here, that's in the ice bath. Just a bit more water, let that cool down a little bit. Great, so I'm going to put that over here. Now the next part of this is the spread. So we're actually using a beautiful Philadelphia cheese here, and I've got a bowl here. We're just going to make a little bit of a mix to actually smear on our bread. All right, so what you're going to need is about 50 grams. This is 250 for our okay. Now, what I would recommend, depending on the time of year, is that you actually have that out ready to go at room temperature. It's going to work a lot better for you. And what we're going to do is we're just going to soften that up a little bit. So I've had this out of the fridge for about half an hour. Now, this isn't on the recipe. I have a little bit of lemon juice. I'm just going to put a squeeze of lemon juice in there. Gives it a little bit of flavour. And touch of salt and pepper. So a nice little grind to get that flavour into our sandwich. And pepper. As you'll notice, I love the old pepper. Okay, so we have that mix. And what we're going to do is put a little bit of parsley, add a bit of freshness. So in the fridge, I have some fresh picked parsley. This is the Italian style of parsley, fresh from our garden. And what I'm going to do is actually just pick the leaves. We actually don't want to have just the stalk in there, because it doesn't eat very nicely, and this adds a beautiful little freshness to the ham and the asparagus that we're going to put in. We're just going to turn that off. That's going in the bin. What we're going to do here is we're just going to roll it and we're going to cut it chiffonade. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, have a look at the vegetable precision cuts, and it actually shows you exactly how to do chiffonade, but in essence it's just nice and fine. Now with parsley, a lot of people chop the parsley way too much. We just want it nice and thin like that. That goes in, and that's going to add that beautiful bit of freshness that we're after. Right. And as always, we're keeping our bench nice and clean. This board here has actually a grip on the base, but if you don't have a board with a grip on the base, you want to put a little grippy mat. A bit of paper towel will suffice. All right, so we're going to mix this around. And now we've got the base done. Now I'm just going to try that also. Really important always to taste your cooking. Beautiful. All right. Okay, next I'm going to put the cream cheese back in the fridge, and we'll start to get ready for the next stage. All right. So we've got asparagus, we've got a ham out. Now we're going to get our bread out. And the other thing that you will need is some cling wrap, plastic wrap. Let's bring that down over here, ready to go. Now, the first thing that you're going to do, we're going to cut our crust. If you actually have a look at this bread, it's not as square as it could be. So we're going to take those crusts off, and just with a chef's knife, but you'll notice that I've actually got a sawing action, which is quite important when we're actually making bread. If we don't do that, we're going to squash it, put our fingers in, and who likes a sandwich that's all squashed and you can see fingerprints in it? I'd say no. Now, in the recipe, if you're lucky enough, and our local bakery was closed today, so I wasn't able to do it, is to actually have this cut long ways instead of short ways, but it works either way. So as always, we need to keep it nice and clean. We're going to lay all of these out, and we're actually going to start to make the pinwheels. So got the asparagus. I'm actually just going to drain that off now. And put that into a takeaway container. So you'll see here we've got beautiful fresh asparagus. All right. So what we're going to do is put some of this on each. Actually, wait a minute, we've got to butter first. So we're going to butter our bread. Now, as I said before, with sandwiches, really important to have a bit of butter. Now, butter and margarine originally in a sandwich it's there to stop leaking of tomatoes, that type of thing through the bread. But I prefer butter. It adds a lot more flavour to the sandwich than our margarine. But every couple of years people go back and forth as to what's best, but I go for flavour here. So we're putting a little bit of butter on there. Just put that away. And now we're actually going to put a little bit of our cream cheese mix. Now, as much as anything, because we're going to roll this actually is our glue. All right. So we'll put that down like that. Now I'm making this for the family today. They're going to love it. Okay, so we're going to smear that down. Now remember, we don't want to load it up so much that it's squeezing out the sides. And we're just going to spread that around. Is anyone hungry yet? I know I am. All right, so we'll spread that. Now, really important is the edge bit. Is we need to have a bit of glue on the edge so that when we roll these, they'll look good. All right, put that back. Okay, so I've got some fresh sliced ham here. All right, so we're going to lay the round bit of ham on there. You could have fresh, whatever, you know, if it's at Christmas time, you can actually get some of that beautiful ham for, you know, leftovers, make these types of things. All right, so I've got my ham. Now I'm going to go with my asparagus using paring knife. And I'm going to lay it in. Now, if you had your bread cut lengthways, you're going to get a little bit more value out of this. So put your spears in the middle. And I might actually use, because this is quite good stuff, we'll put that in the middle. A spear. And the final bit is to use some chives. Again, fresh chives from the garden. Depends on where you are in the world, but the chive actually is going to add a little bit of flavour there too. All right. Now, once we've at that stage, very quickly we need to actually roll it. So, just the cling wrap. What we're going to do, I'm going to move this up so you can see it a little better. So we're going to put each of these in, cut that off, and actually start to roll. All right. So you're actually going to roll them as tight as you can without tearing. And this is where we don't want to do them all at once because the bread dries out. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll it up. We're going to do all of these at the same time. So, you know, when you're in a kitchen or a commercial kitchen, you're going to do multiples of these. So again, rolling. And this is where you want to kick in some of that, your favourite music, and you know, bringing this together. Lovely autumn, spring, summer. It's a really lovely way of bringing friends together and giving them something maybe a little bit different. All right, so we roll them. Now, stay here because there's that final bit that we need to do. This is where we go a bit faster. Is the lollipop end. And if you remember as kids, so what we're going to do here is we're going to roll them up like this. All right, and I'll show down on the bench too. So we're going to roll that up. For all of those, and then they need to be refrigerated for at least maybe 20 minutes to a maximum of an hour on a tray, and then we're going to get out. So I'm going to come back to you and we're going to have a look at how good these look and then present them. It's been about 40 minutes since our last thing. It's the pinwheel sandwiches have actually been in the fridge. So you'll see here I'm ready to actually set up. So what we have here is our little pinwheel sandwiches, and what we're going to do is we're going to roll them out. So we're actually going to take them out of the plastic wrap, and they should hold their form now. Just make sure that you don't get any plastic. We don't want plastic in the food. So we're going to take them out. If you're lucky, they'll come off easily, but this one's not coming off easily. Let's try another one. So roll it out. There we go, that's better. All right, so you'll see that's actually going to hold the form now. And I am definitely hungry. It's about lunchtime at the moment, so we'll take them out and we're going to cut them and present them. Now, If you've actually seen some of my other videos, we did cocktail sandwiches, and this would be a really nice little high tea kind of idea for something a little different, little petite sandwiches, really beautiful, really simple. Let's just get this pesky last one out, and then we'll get going with the presentation of our dish. There we go. All right, so we're going to discard the plastic wrap. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually slice them at an angle so that we can actually see what we're doing. Now I'm using a chef's knife, and I'm just going to cut them at, it's probably about centimetre intervals along, so that we can actually see that beautiful end bit. Now these endy bits, don't throw them out because they are super yummy and worth keeping also, but not for presentation so much. So what we're going to do is actually get a plate. I keep fairly simple, just a round plate, could be a platter, whatever you want really. I have some garnish here, so I've got some oak leaf and some butter lettuce which I've just washed to put on there to keep this, we want it to look really elegant and lovely. All right, so I'm just going to slice all of these up and then we'll start to present them. So if you've done your job properly, they're actually going to hold their shape, and that's the key really with this type of thing. All right, so that we're actually going to showcase all of those beautiful ingredients. And the wonderful thing about this recipe is you might not like asparagus and you want to put, cucumber, or, do your own thing and really be creative with this type of thing. It'll really make a difference. So we're just going to put the offcuts in there. They will not go to waste. And the final one here. So you'll notice I'm also using a sawing action. I'm not pushing into it. Again, no thumbprints. All right. Sort of a bit of a cardinal sin when it comes to sandwiches. Then what I'm going to do is just fan them around. Be creative. Make it happen. All right. And you're actually going to be able to see all of these beautiful sandwiches as I lay them down. Now, given that we are using, parsley, you might want to put a bit of parsley in there too. And generally I'm going to use the best ones through the frontage so that I'm getting it looking really beautiful and around. I'm just going to place that in there. So again, got to love a great herb garden, makes such a difference. I've actually got some beautiful chervil here, so we're just going to do a bit of chervil, and I do have a little bit of parsley here that I'm going to put in, but just pick the best parts of your parsley, because it's not quite as elegant. And then that final stage is just making sure that your plate's nice and clean. Presentation is so important with any dish, but particularly with sandwiches. So I give you pinwheel sandwiches. They are really beautiful. You can see all of that artistry and all of that hard work, but they are super tasty. So get into it. Let me know in the comments how you go. And if you enjoy this video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to see more videos from the Harper Tech Academy, make sure you subscribe on the video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.